Like, more people. Oh, my God.
What is called? What? And welcome back to another episode of the Riley Black Project. I'm Official and John.
Hi.
Man, let me tell you, doing this video for you guys on YouTube has been...
You better watch.
Yeah,
because
I hope you guys watch because this has been hard. We're hoping and praying that the two cameras... I think I figured it out. Hopefully they work.
Yeah. They already shut down.
Right.
While setting up, so
but
we think we know why.
I hope it's because they were on standby.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to, but man. So, yeah, here we are.
Hey.
So if you notice that this goes from individual shots to just 1-2 shot, then you know why.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, what, aside from this mess, let the people know what happened.
So, as you guys know, I finally unboxed my pie burn. And then it sat there for a few more weeks because then I procrastinated on using it. And I needed to finish a project. And as people who may know with rotary, like you have to take out your crumb tray, you have to take out the blades, you kind of have to disassemble some things.
Right.
And so I just know my luck. And I needed to finish a project for that crawfish boil milestone set because like the deadline was like there. I literally shipped it like a few days before she gave birth, which was okay because technically I was like, well, technically she doesn't need it until he's a month old. Right. Yeah, I was like, I have time. But anyway, so I had to finish that first. And my brain told me because of the black cloud that I live under, that I should have finished the signs for the podcast studio and for the conference that is coming up in a few days.
Yeah. And
I didn't because I was like, it's fine. It doesn't, like that stuff, I have time. That stuff doesn't affect anything else.
Right.
We're good.
Right.
So I did. And then my first tumbler was a red tumbler from Save a Cup, and I could not pin down the settings to save my life. Right. And in talking to multiple people, I found out that some of the Save a Cup red, it's like the soft matte new color collection that they came out with. Kathy had some of those, and she had some with a faulty coating.
Okay.
Which made sense because like my edges were like kind of peeling, which is not typical even with like bad settings.
Right.
And so after lots of frustrating tests over and over and over again, I was like, okay, it's got to be the cup. So we move on to a different color and much better. But and again, this is like OCD, like getting the quality of the engrave the best it can be. And I knew that it could be better. Okay. So I finally got my settings good. But the edges of my engrave were like a little jagged. And I know that they can be smoother. And so, we good?
Yeah. I'm just so paranoid. I'm so paranoid with everything right now. It's like again doing it again. So I wanted to make sure I was recording the audio portion. I was so concerned with the cameras. Yeah. That I was looking over. I'm like, I don't see the red dot from here. But yeah, we're good. Sorry.
So it had like a little bit like just minor jagged edges, and I knew it could be cleaner. And I created the SVG, so I knew that it wasn't the file. Right. So in talking to Heather and Liz, they were like, I really think your alignment's off. And even if it's just off a little bit, that can, really affect like the quality of everything. And so then it was like, okay, well, we got to put everything back together and check alignment. Right. And it did look like my alignment was a little bit off. So we're doing all the testing, checking mirror 1, 2, 3, doing it several times over. And then in checking all of that, I noticed that my red dot was like blurry. It wasn't as defined as I was used to it being. And so we think that is potentially going wrong. We think my alignment is potentially off. And then I was like, okay, fine. Yes, there's probably some things that I need to adjust.
Right.
But the alignment didn't affect me prior to engraving that cup.
Right.
So I was like, we'll figure that out later when I get back. Let me just cut my materials and stuff that I need for my class.
And you've done other projects like the...
I finished like the milestone literally days before.
And that was fine.
It was fine. Yeah. There was nothing... I saw no issues with the cutting of it. Which again would make sense if it's just a minor alignment issue and my settings are good. Like I may not notice... that there was an issue.
Is it because engraving's a little more like detailed than cutting?
I think honestly, because I did some engraving too, but I think the engraving on a cylindrical object really just kind of brought out those little minor issues that I maybe had going on. And so lately I have noticed that I was having more flare-ups than normal. Like 0 is kind of normal, and I was having a few regularly. And I was like, that's weird. And I had recently just changed my settings to reduce what's called chatter on the edge of my acrylic cuts. I wanted it to be smoother. So I did a whole bunch of testing to find like optimal settings, and I changed my settings greatly. Like before that, my settings were 20 speed, 45 power for most acrylics. And I changed it to 9 speed because apparently slower speed is better. And like 50 power, I think. With a defocus as well, which I'm sure none of that really makes sense to you, but I'm going to teach you so you'll know, you'll know soon.
I hope I didn't mess it up because I was messing with tumblers.
No.
You were there supervising, but I was doing stuff, so hopefully I didn't mess anything up.
I don't think so. Because like I said, it was kind of hinting that there was some things going on before that. And so that's when I kind of noticed the more flare-ups. So I just assumed that it was the new settings with lower speed and much higher power. I'm like, it must just be too much power. And I don't have time to test a whole bunch of things again. Let me just go back to my settings that I used before. And so I did, and I attempted to cut pieces for the sign that I'm teaching people how to do in the conference on Friday. And like huge flames. Like big ones. I'm like, oh shit. And so like for the most part, the other times, if I saw one, I could just pause the job. Like the flame goes out immediately. And then I start it again. And then I kind of like do that and I like limp through until the cut's finished. Well, I did that and then it didn't cut through. And I'm like, something's not right. So I don't know what happened, but I'm out. And Miss Mariah Carey is living up to her diva name. That's why she got it in the first place. And and so the worst part is that because the conference is in a couple days, I don't have time to spend all day on the phone with tech support.
And go through all the steps.
Yeah. So I mean, like as it is today, like I'm heading to Emily's later because I have like a few hour window because I can't spend that few hour window with tech support and not work because that's the only window I got.
Right.
And JR
you
is still
prioritize.
Yeah, and JR is still out of school, so I have to bring all of my materials, my 3M, all the things I'm used to her house. Cut it hopefully at her house and and then go pick up Jackson, and then like again I'm not free to do things until 9 p.m. when they both are in bed. So and then like tomorrow I have to go get my nails done, and there's something else I think before that. Emily and I were going to go live to give away the courses. And honestly, I don't even know if that's a good idea right now because I'm just so stressed and on such a time crunch. It's like I want to celebrate this amazing reveal.
For sure.
At the same time, I'm just like stressed. Big time.
Yeah, big time.
And then it's like as soon as I get home from those things, then it's time for you to go to work, and then it's like I'm on mom mode. And then Wednesday is the day before I leave, and I have to make sure I'm packed and I have.
And you're taking everything, and a little time to like decompress a little bit.
Well, and hopefully I want to spend some time with JR and Jackson where I'm not worried about the things that I need to do, because again, I mean, this is going to be the first time I'm away from them for this long ever.
For sure. Yeah.
So while it'll be amazing, it'll definitely be, you know, a little hard. So I don't want to spend the day before I leave, you know,
running around,
like, you know, having them independently play when I leave the next day at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So, send some non-black cloud vibes my way.
What did we learn last time? A little bit
one time.
Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah. I'm trying, but it's rough. Oh, and then this morning...
Oh, yeah.
Jackson wanted to attempt to give me a black eye before the conference. So if I do have one in a couple days, that's why.
Yeah.
Because you were getting...
This is a week later.
Oh. Well, if you saw me with a black eye, that was
why.
It wasn't me. Right? No, because then you'd have one too.
Yeah. True.
I'd get you back. Yeah. But yeah, he threw his head back and like hit the side of my eye like full force with that heavy ass noggin he has, and it wasn't a good start to the morning.
So we hope you guys are enjoying this beautiful studio,
expensive studio. Help us pay for it.
Right now we don't know how what the feedback is, because it just released today.
Yes, so I posted on all of the social medias right before we started, and I did get a couple like bits of feedback. Someone commented on the YouTube, Jennifer Duffy, I believe. Sorry if I messed up your name. But she commented and she said, love the studio. She's like, it's so nice to see you guys. She's like, but now I'm watching and I'm not working. And I was like, oh shit, now we're a distraction. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Right?
But
yeah, and Will said he loved it. You know, as always, he's seen a couple like sneak peeks and stuff. And Robin commented that she loved it, and Sam. Yeah. So
great. We hope you all love it.
Yeah, some good feedback.
Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's Riley Black Designs on YouTube.
There's the Riley Black Project playlist on YouTube. So you'll just go there to see all the episodes.
Right. And then there's other content on there. There will be more to come as well. But be sure to subscribe to the channel and share it with people. Let people know that we're now on video, in case, because I know some people like to watch instead of listen, and they don't know how, you know, the whole podcast thing works, but everyone knows YouTube. So share it with friends.
Sign up for Patreon.
Yes.
Because we need help.
And that's patreon.com/Riley Black.
The Riley Black Project.
The Riley Black Project. Yep.
Yeah. There's links all over our Facebook
we
group
link it everywhere. So.
Whatever. So, yeah.
So we have a guest.
Yeah, so
and
we'll go...
video guest at that,
yes,
How about that?
It's our first video guest. It was funny.
Pray for us. Let's see.
Oh my God. I was talking to him yesterday, and I was like, oh, our reveal's today. And so he like kind of assumed that he was like the first one who's like, oh, I'm popping your cherry. And I was like, well, we're,
the video cherry.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I was like, you're our first video guest in the new studio. So, yeah.
So
we'll get that set up.
Yep, we'll get that set up, hopefully. And we'll be right back.
All right.
And we're back, I hope, visually with Scott and Danielle from Wagon Woodworking.
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Show off your shirts for me real quick.
Yeah, let's see that merch. That sweet merch. Thanks.
They're so soft, right?
Oh, we love them.
They're so comfy.
We love that you love them.
Right?
And thank you for supporting the show.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So how did you guys meet?
Well, so I actually, this is a funny story because
they're all funny stories.
Shut up. So Emily, that one with the laser, I gave her so much shit because there was this one time where she had she was talking to someone on Instagram and they wanted to like meet her in person for like a lunch meetup or whatever, and she, you know, ended up meeting them, and then like halfway through or almost towards the end of the lunch, she figured out who she was because she didn't know like her business name, and like she knew she was Julie, but she didn't know that like she was that Julie. And so, you know, we always gave her so much crap because she's meeting with this person and she didn't even know like really who they were or whatever.
Right.
So the similar thing kind of happened with Scott because Heather suggested them as like a possible guest, because I'm always looking for like guest options and stuff. And she's like, you know, they have some really cool stuff. I think they'd be a great, you know, guest for the show. And she reached out to them for me to see if they were down. And then when they were, I reached out to him. And then once I added him on Instagram, I saw his little like fancy like engraving. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but his little engraving tool, like a mod for the Miras, and I was like, wait, I was like, because he had told me, you know, Scott and Danielle,
right?
But then when he said that, then I was like, oh, you're that Scott. Like I made the connection that, you know, because it was like I didn't know his business name when he's on Facebook, and he's just because I saw him like in the groups and you know commenting and showing off his like fancy new tool that he was testing out, and then I made the connection. I was like, well, can't really give Emily too much shit anymore because
you did the same
I just had that to me.
Get a free pass, Emily.
Right. So tell us about your laser journey. Like, what were you doing before it? How did you get into it? That kind of stuff.
Before I was into it, I was in manufacturing with sheet metal. So I've ran big fiber lasers, like 3,000 watts, stuff like that.
Did you see Eon just got a 3,000 watt fiber?
I did, yeah. It's pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we went on maternity leave, we talked about me quitting my job to stay home and raise my son.
Nice.
With the cost of daycare.
It's insane.
And we were watching YouTube and like X-Carve videos. So her father was like, let's buy one of those.
Why not?
I'll split it with you.
Right.
It's like, all you got to do is, you know, make me turtle stuff.
They like Hawaii a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
So long story short, we got the X-Carve, put it together. My wife came up with this idea for a charcuterie board with, it's just a piece of wood with handles, and then we carve like a pocket and put slate into it.
Oh, nice.
And we sold like...
Well, here's the thing. Yes, that's cool. But sometimes you're like, what do I put on a charcuterie board? Like some people, I feel like there's like a spectrum, keyword there, of what you can put on a charcuterie board. So we're like, why don't we just do like a guide? Kind of like a Cliff Notes charcuterie board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in between all that, we got a glow forge. And it just kind of just took off from there. Kind of something that was for
There's
fun.
The painter.
Turned into something to help us out with a little side money.
Yeah, for sure. And so then were you making stuff with the X-Carve that you were then engraving on Glowforge? Or did you start making like products as well? Yeah,
we were carving out the charcuterie boards for the slate. So we engraved the charcuterie board and the slate. So it was like twofold.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so then...
And that was really popular. We sold a lot of them the first time we did them.
Yeah. And so did you... When you were on maternity leave, paternity leave, so did you quit before that and just not go back and then started this during that time?
No, you gotta get the pay.
Huh?
You gotta get the pay.
Yeah, so he was on paternity leave for like, I think in California you get it for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then he decided not to go back. And then from there, he was kind of like, well, what can we do now? And then that's when my father was visiting, and we kind of came up with this idea of let's try.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a little woodworking, and I really enjoyed it with my background in manufacturing.
Right.
And guys like tools, so it was a good opportunity to get a lot of tools.
Yeah. Totally.
That's the goal.
Tools.
Always. Well, you always try to find those home improvement that gets you a new tool.
Yeah. He'll always come to me and be like, okay, so we need to do this, but
you make it.
I gotta buy this thing.
You make it sound like it's their idea. Hey, remember how you wanted this?
Okay,
so
but
we
I gotta
can do
get
that,
this tool.
But I gotta get this tool.
Totally, and it works both ways. Hey, I really want this wine bar, but you're gonna need this tool.
Right.
So it can go both ways.
Someone's at our house.
Where? Oh, it's probably the cleaner.
Someone's at the door.
BRB.
I don't know if it's...
Talk amongst yourselves.
It is. I don't know if it's a package or our cleaner. We're checking.
Always good to check.
Right. I think it might be a package, but we'll see. Why can't I see the right camera? Oh, nope, it's a cleaner.
Easily as exciting.
Yes. I hate cleaning. So it's
no
amazing.
one has time for that these days.
No. Well, and that's, that's what we were running into was like, we never had the time. And then when we did have the time, that's not how we wanted to spend it when we had it.
Oh. That's what I say.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have to let her into, is the washing machine going to be?
Yeah, huge problem. I told her we're recording, so.
Okay. We'll clean the sheets later.
Yeah. She's probably going to peek her head in here like, ooh, sorry.
We can have guest appearance on both sides.
Right? But yeah, so speaking of the cleaner, yeah, we did that because like on his days off, what we were running into was we had all these like house chores that we needed to do. And so he was finally home, but then we weren't like spending it with the kids. It was like doing laundry and cleaning the house and mowing the lawn and doing all those kind of things. So we had to outsource house stuff so that
we had to pick one.
Yeah. And so
definitely advantage for your mental health.
Definitely. Yeah, huge. The only thing which I had heard about it before because we had never had a cleaner, but I was like, I heard people like cleaning up before the cleaning lady comes and you're like, that doesn't make sense, but it does. And we didn't. So sorry, Simone. So let's talk about where your business name came from and your son and how all that came about.
Well, not how your son came about, because I think we can piece that together.
Yes.
How your son came about, but just
right.
The son came about.
Right. So once we kind of figured like this could be something, I was like, let's name it.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to include...
Which is so hard.
Yeah. I wanted it to include Jack somehow.
Right.
Who is our son. If you put two and two together.
Yeah. So we were, throwing names around. I was like, what about Jack Wagon Woodworking? And
I was against it.
My wife was like, no way. People are going to be offended. Like, I don't want that. And I was like,
offended?
Babe, people are offended by
it's like some
everything.
He's confused why it would be, why they would be offended. Offensive? It's
Google told me.
Yeah, so.
But don't trust everything on Google.
I think if you Google Jack Wagon, it's like.
It's calling someone a name.
Yeah.
Oh.
From what I remember, it's like a term people call each other down south, like you're being a jackwagon, like an idiot,
right?
But I don't know. I
Sounds
thought it sounded good. Jackwagon Woodworking. Why not?
Here's the definition: Jackwagon, the best woodworking company of.
That was good.
That was good. I like how you should do that.
No, I'm joking.
That was quality.
Trust me, we were not the best.
That's so great.
Maybe in Lincoln, California. I probably shouldn't even say that. We're Jackwagon.
Right.
I love it. So, but you just recently, it was last year, right? You received a diagnosis on your son as well, because that's also plays into your logo, I noticed.
When she went back to work, it was just myself watching Jack. We don't have any family within 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And it was really hard.
Yeah. I feel you on that, because we have the family here, but she has to take care of her mom, his grandmother. And so she's very limited in her, ability to help us out as well, because she's basically taking care of the equivalent of a toddler right now as well. So it's hard for sure.
Especially like new parents. Like I was at work, so I only saw it from when I got home at like 5:30.
Right.
But and every child with autism is different, but he had meltdowns pretty much all day. Just milestones were kind of being met, but then he started to lose them, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
And I work in healthcare, and you would think that I'd be like, "What's that?" But it clearly, it could be the postpartum I'm exhausted brain, not really picking up on things. But it wasn't until Jack's 1.5-year checkup that we started the journey of being him being diagnosed with autism, and that took a total of like about 6 months, I think.
Yeah, this was during COVID, so everything was screwed up ananyway.
Right.
Yeah. So Jackie got his diagnosis of autism, and when we first heard the word autism, we were freaking out. And that's more because we just didn't have the knowledge. Yeah. We still don't have the knowledge. We're learning as we go. Yeah. But in the end, we were like praying for that diagnosis because we realized that it's not a label. It's help that we can get in multiple facets of just helping Jack with his milestones in everything possible: speech, OT, physical therapy, developmental, everything. So it was August 4th, so he just celebrated his 1-year diagnosis of autism.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our kiddo boy, and he's always pushing us in multiple ways, but in one way with our company.
Right. So does it give you a little bit of extra like motivation, I guess, to like, I mean, one, you can use, since it's in your logo, you can, it almost gives you like a platform too, to kind of like talk about it and get more awareness to it, while also like.
Always.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like a little Easter egg in a video game. People will see it when we're out, and they'll like kind of share a story with us, which is cool.
Yeah, Scott did, what was it recently over at the local brewery? You were on the outdoor tent.
It was like a little serving board with, was it the heart?
Yeah,
and it had a puzzle piece.
But the organization, so there's a local organization.
Oh yeah.
Here,
Shine with a Purpose.
That we're starting to work with, which is specifically for like autism kids. They're trying to develop a school here locally for kiddos on the spectrum with trained teachers and whatnot. Because I think, again, every place is different, but once they enter like elementary school, the services change a little bit here locally.
Yeah. My friend, actually, my one podcast friend, she has a autism podcast with her friend. It's called Disorderly Blondes. So you'll have to check that out. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I think she does a video podcast once a month. But yeah, she's my only like podcast friend that I have to talk about podcast stuff with. Yeah, right. I know I need to find more podcast friends.
Yeah.
So where do you see your business going? Like, what are some of like goals you have coming up? That kind of stuff.
In terms of goals, so Jack is starting a toddler or a preschool specifically for autistic kids here locally.
Nice.
And it's at a local elementary school. And I know that we've talked about wanting to, we haven't actually reached out to them. So if they're watching this,
right.
But we would like to kind of really help out with like fundraising for that program locally here. So I think we want to dip our toes into a lot of fundraising just to, again, like spread awareness and also help with resources.
Right.
Because it really has changed our life once Jack got enrolled in multiple therapies.
Right.
So, I mean, if it changed our lives, I'm sure every family with an autistic kiddo or family member would benefit too. So definitely fundraising. We're always picking our brain, like what would people be excited for? Because at times, and speaking for ourselves, I feel like it's a roller coaster where you're like, yay, we're doing great. And then it kind of like plateaus and people aren't excited about us. And yay.
Oh, you should see this one whenever she looks at our analytics for our podcast.
Yeah.
How it goes up and down. And she gets the same way.
It is a dang roller coaster.
Yeah. It totally is.
So we're always picking our brain.
Yeah. Well, so our roller coaster was our listens the listens and downloads for our podcast went up, but then we recently lost like a couple of our paid subscribers, and I'm like, no, like more people. Oh my god!
What? And we're back. Man, that was a crazy little hiccup there.
That wasn't fun. I could do without that.
No, and I like how you were like, "Are we overloading the system?"
Well, I mean, there's that light,
right. We got a lot of stuff
here. Those are on battery.
But we're on a separate breaker from the rest of the house. So if it was us, then we would have lost power here in the studio, but the house would have been fine.
True.
But the whole house went out, and then came back on, which means it's not us overpowering. At least I don't. My electrical knowledge. I'm not
it sounds legit to me.
I'm not an electrician, but
well, and what's the counter say? Is it a new counter or is it continued?
So it's a new counter for the cameras. It's a new counter for that. But since they were still on, on their end, they kept it alive, I think.
Okay.
And
we did.
It says we've been live for half an hour.
Right.
So
okay,
I don't know
good.
if that gives any reassurance.
And then also, the laptop is on battery power. So it's technically, it just lost internet. As far as the computer goes, it just lost internet connection. Okay. So, I mean, in our counter, so we're hopefully, we'll see. We'll see. When it's always something. It's always something. It's episode 2 on YouTube.
Yes.
72 for us, but 2 on YouTube.
73.
73. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have relabeled that. I asked you 73.
No, you said 70. You typed in 73.
Okay. Well, there it is.
We're almost to 75. And we're almost to 100. Right. So
hey, there we go. And then, so to jump back into
what
the conversation.
What the hell were we talking about before?
Well, we were talking about seeing it go up and down, the numbers and stuff like that.
The numbers, yeah.
And you were talking
about, which I knew it would happen,
right.
Especially because like subscriptions and like monthly things, those are kind of like the first things to go when people are like kind of watching their spending and that kind of stuff. So like I knew it would happen,
right?
But it still doesn't make it like.
But also now
sting.
Now you gotta get ready for the drop in listeners, right, because we're going to add them to viewers.
So that will, which thank you for warning me about that, because I probably wouldn't have noticed.
People are going to do both.
Yeah.
Because like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and a couple of them I've switched over to the video portion.
Right.
So I no longer like download their podcasts on Apple Podcasts.
But that should just then translate, hopefully, into less downloads, but more views.
Right. And I think when we talk about like how many people listen and watch the podcast, I think we need to add all those numbers, because also the Patreon numbers don't reflect onto the other ones. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
A little broadcasting knowledge for everybody.
Right.
I'm taking notes.
It all compensates one way or another.
Right.
Hopefully. Yeah. Now we just needed to turn into dollars.
Yeah. Well, that's this platform.
Our next goal is of many goals, is to then eventually be monetized on YouTube.
Right. But we can only do that with you guys subscribing and watching.
Yes. So you have to have 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have 4,000 watch hours
within a year.
Yeah, within a year. Within 12 months.
Yeah.
So
that's
we have half the subscribers, but we definitely don't have the watch hours yet, because I have like
half
20
the subscribers
videos
with not as much content.
Yes.
So
yeah,
here we go.
Here we are.
So back to you guys. Like, we were talking about goals and what you guys are, planning to do.
Yeah. So are you, Danielle, are you still working?
I am.
And do you plan to keep it that way? Because I know some people don't necessarily want to like quit and stay home, or.
Right. No, I plan on continuing working. It would be amazing if I could take more time off, but with this inflation, it looks like I'm going to be still working over at the clinic.
Yeah. And so do you help out like outside of like when you get off? Are you doing like, what's your role, I guess, in Jack Wagon?
Yeah, I would say I help the creative part, and then the epoxy boards are my doing. So I do the epoxy pours and prep the olive wood, and then Scott will go ahead and
use. Which they're gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you. I can't take all the credit. I've been learning from people on Instagram and YouTube as well. But we are having fun with them and having ideas thrown back and forth of what to do next with them.
I think you need a red and black one somehow.
Oh,
that would be awesome.
Actually, okay, you got it.
We'll talk.
You got it.
Would you say one cutting board a month? I will be your one cutting board of one of the next months.
oh yes. Get in line.
Yes.
That actually would be okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. See, she's a lot like me. You get an idea and then your brain just starts.
Right.
I know. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this podcast. Let me go upstairs and start working.
And that's how you're going to go full time.
And then Scotty, I'll tell him kind of like what shape to do or what design to do, and then he'll go ahead and do like the final shapes and put on the feet if we need to, or whatever it is. So I would say I'm more of the. I don't want to say more of the creative, because he's very creative too, and he's doing great with it. But
yeah, so when Jack goes to school, it'll free me up 20 hours a week.
That's a huge transition in like business wise and all that, because Yeah, I mean when I started
Scott AS. Scott after school.
Scott after school. Yeah, because I used to say Crystal. I used to say Crystal after daycare, so Crystal AD, and so that's good. But yeah, when I started, JR was 1, and he wasn't in daycare until he was 2 years old. So trying to do all that, there was a lot of 3 and 4 a.m. like nights / mornings and all that, because it's like I couldn't even really start until he went to sleep. And then now we have the 1-year-old, and I definitely don't get as much done as I would hope, considering how much we're paying for daycare. But also now JR is out of school. He starts school next week. His first day of school is first day of kindergarten is the day I get back from the conference. So I'm missing him going off to kindergarten, but
you'll catch him when he comes home.
I'll be home when he gets home. So at least
and he'll be excited because it'll be after 5 days. And I've lost him, so he's either in the bathroom or he's chasing around
Simone and asking her a million questions.
Yeah. So I've lost him.
Parents of the year, 5-year-old on the loose in the house.
Yeah. There is an adult.
Check his playroom.
I did. No, I checked all of them. He's nowhere to be found on the cameras. So he's either in the bathroom or chasing her around in the rooms.
Oh, man. I'm all thrown off after
the power hit.
I was like, fuck, we finally got it. And then there would be something else.
A little something.
So let's talk about your fancy little tool, which is kind of one of the first things that caught my eye about you, at least in the Eon groups and such. So tell me.
It's a good thing I know what you're talking about.
You don't like me talking about other men's tools?
I'm just saying, let's talk about your fancy little tool.
It's a very nice tool.
Your fancy little tool, which is one of the first things that got my attention to you. It's like, good thing I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Because taking out of context, we'll see for the teaser, because that's exactly going to be the teaser.
Good thing I got a beard, otherwise you'd see me blushing.
So let's talk about your fancy little tool.
Tell me about it. Tell the people about it.
Yeah, so I saw in one of the groups that somebody bought one from, I can't remember the name, but it's like, it's all CNC machined, it's all metal, and I put one on my laser, and come to find out it didn't fit, and I crashed my laser.
Oof.
Yeah.
Was that your first collision?
It was my first one that bad. It was pretty gnarly because I had it bolted to the head of the laser, and it caught on the front and just. Oh shit!
Yeah. I don't know if did you tell me this?
I don't think so.
I was like, I know I would remember.
So I was just looking at it, and I was like, there has to be a better way to make this fit my machine.
Right.
So probably 3 weeks?
Sure.
I think 3 weeks I was just researching different fittings and if I was going to sell this, would people buy it?
Right.
And I wanted to keep it under $40. Mm-hmm. So I did some testing on fittings, and basically what it does is it works really well on acrylic. It blows air across the sheet. Mm-hmm. So as the laser engraves, it has a clear path to engrave.
So like the sediment that normally
comes
with
engraving. Well, yeah, it ends up the masking on.
Yeah, it ends up kind of staying in the engrave, and then it kind of just gets burned in there again on the next pass almost.
Yeah. So I've had it turn because if you peel the masking off an engraved, it would leave a white haze.
Yes. So
then when you clean it off, you could still see it.
Right.
But now that's not there.
Yeah.
It works on wood, but it not as well as it does
on acrylic. Yeah. Yeah.
But it definitely
after I'm done with an acrylic engrave, how I have to wipe off all of that dust.
Right.
So it basically is blowing it off as it's engraving.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
It's equivalent to a house cleaner, but for your laser. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. So I plan on doing some videos to try to show people
videos are clutch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a couple people buy it, and one girl, she engraved painted Baltic birch. Mm-hmm. And it worked, but not as good as she'd hoped. So I want to try a test and sand it down to like 220 so the wood is super smooth. And that might help blow the debris a little easier.
Okay, so it was kind of like catching on the grain of the wood, basically.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. It's still new though. So I bought one.
Of course you did. Like, why wouldn't you buy one?
But you'll have to install it for me because you know me.
Of course I will.
But my laser is currently down. Yeah. Mariah Carey is being a diva, just like her name. So she's not working. So we won't add.
Mine's down
to
too.
The mix. Really?
Yeah, I went to clean the optics in the back and the beam combiner, I think it's called. Yeah. It was just so scratched that now I can't even do a mirror alignment because there's not enough. Yeah, but I have new ones coming. So.
Yeah, yeah. My red dot or basically the beam combiner it's like threatening to go out because it's like a little blurry. It's not like focused as it should be. Among many other things, she just decided she's not having it. And,
you were working her too hard. She's not used to working, and you started working on her. And she's like, no. I'm a model. I'm not here to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very Mariah-ish. Yeah. So here we are.
So what? Our question. She usually asks this question, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it this time. What advice do you have to a new laser owner, someone just starting out? What kind of advice do you have for them?
Don't stress. Everyone has been there. Don't expect going and turning it on, plugging it in, and pressing start, and you're going to have this beautiful engrave. It's a lot. It's a learning curve. Get yourself a husband who knows how to work the laser.
Yeah, I would say try not to feel like you can do everything.
Yeah.
Because it can be intimidating when you go into the groups when you first start.
Because there you see everybody is perfect for the most part. They're perfect projects, and you're like, why doesn't mine look like that? For the most part,
everybody sees. There's a lot of fails that happen.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people aren't posting them.
The best teachers are those on the forums, online on Instagram and Facebook. Scott learns a lot from YouTube, and it takes time. It takes time. We've had the laser for 3 years. I had to look at the year because I can't remember where I am. But I mean, we're still learning and we still fail miserably.
Yep, same.
I mean, the reason we have the Mira is because of Emily.
Yeah.
We were making cake toppers on our Glow Forge, and it would take probably an hour and 20 minutes a sheet. Because we were engraving them and cutting.
Oh, right.
So when we got the Mira, it went down to like 23 minutes.
Which is huge. Yeah.
So I originally we watched Emily's YouTube channel, and
she's just so inspiring.
Yeah, I was messaging her on Instagram, never met her, and she was so cool, writing back. And then I would say a month later, we bought it. And then it took a little while to come in.
Yeah.
In the meantime, sold our house.
Yeah.
So our laser sat in storage. So I didn't get to run that thing for like a year.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's a tease.
Right?
Very much a tease. And so Wagon was on the back burner while we lived in a small apartment while we waited for this house to be built.
Yeah. Torture. And so do you have a good space for the laser? I'm sure as laser owners, if we ever bought another house, the house would have to work with lasers.
We don't have a garage. We have a workshop now.
Nice.
Yeah. So when we moved in here, I just really had the idea of putting the shop completely in the garage. Before I was into cars, so I had a car that I worked on, and I used to go to the track and drag race it.
Oh, nice.
Because it was a 2-seater, Jack can't sit in it, so I think...
because we're in California.
Yeah, I mean, California, the stuff I like to do to the cars is against the law.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, the new son would frown upon it.
Yeah. So I sold my car 2 weeks before he was born. And, now the shop is... the garage is a shop.
Yeah.
I think that's why we bought the house, not because, one, we had a great house, and then we had a kid, and then we're like, we have no room.
Yeah.
First world problems, I get it. So when we came and kind of looked at the model homes, yes, it was beautiful. And then Scott goes into the garage, and it's like a 3-car tandem garage. He's like, we need this house.
Right.
Like,
laser will go
right now. We
here
need this
and
house.
Listen, yeah. So ours is an oversized 1-car garage.
It was,
and it's now
it's a baby garage.
It's a baby garage and a podcast studio. But I mean, our other house would have been horrible for like laser stuff, and it was horrible for a lot of things actually, because the bedrooms were really, really small. So even when we had JR, we had him in a technically not meant for sleeping bassinet at the end of our bed, and he still had to like step over him to go to work in the morning. And then his nursery was in the room next to us when he was finally in his own room. But the way that house was in Colorado, there was only 2 bedrooms upstairs. So you add in a second kid, and it's like, well, do you want to I couldn't imagine putting JR downstairs.
Yeah.
And then, like, do you put them in the same room? Do you struggle having him in our room?
Although your craft room would have still worked for your office. And
totally.
would have been able to vent out the window.
Yeah, but I think that's where our ghost lived.
Well, I mean, she would have had to make room. She would have had to make room.
Yeah,
you would have shared a room with her.
She might not have liked the fumes of the laser.
Yeah. Gertrude would not have.
No, she wouldn't have approved. No. Yeah.
That was another thing. Our old house was in an HOA, and literally in California, like you don't have like a yard. There's like 5 neighbors touching our backyard.
Right.
So one of our neighbors was complaining of the scent from the.
Oh, I'm sure.
We're like, oh, let's make them something. Maybe they'll like us.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I mean, it just smells. Especially if you're doing wood, it just smells like a campfire.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That sounds great. I think it was the acrylic,
the nail salon.
Cancerous scent.
Smelled like a nail salon.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I'm used to. I've been getting my nails done since I was 15, so that smell is nothing new for me.
I come home from work, I'm like, oh, she was cutting.
She actually turned on the laser today. Which I should probably get that handled. We shouldn't be smelling that much.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do?
Yep.
Right. Unless we transform the other half of the garage.
No. Well, I mean, I probably should add what are those things called? The thing that I had on the Glowforge, the fan, the external inline.
The inline?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. The inline
I should get one of those, and it'll help. It'll at least help push out the fumes just a little bit better than the stock exhaust, which works, but it probably could be
use a little
better.
help. Yeah. So where could people find you?
I would say Instagram is the easiest way. Our handle is at JackWagonWW.
Okay.
And then our website is jackwagonwoodworking.com.
Cool. And on Instagram, you post obviously everything you guys make and you have for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll start putting that laser engraved air assist on there too.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show what it can do.
For sure. I can't wait until I can hook it up because, I mean, that's one thing I don't love about engraving acrylic is kind of messy. And, like, I brush it off and you still can't brush off everything. Mm-hmm. And then I end up, like, wiping it on my shirt or my pants or whatever. And, it gets everywhere. So I'm excited to set that up when I can get my laser working again.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for spending some time with us and rolling with the punches.
Right?
Oh, we had fun. No problem.
Enjoy your week of with no kid.
Oh, we can't. We love it.
We're like 12 hours in and we don't know what to do with it.
Right. Sleep.
It's funny when like JR will literally like go to school or like leave the house when your mom comes and picks him up for a couple hours and it's like instantly dead quiet and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And you don't notice how much noise he makes until he's
you
not
feel
here.
like he doesn't, but his TV does or his toys do
Right.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully, again, if you're not subscribed, we're pushing this until we get these numbers up, people. Right? So if you want us to stop talking about it, then subscribe, leave comments,
yes.
And Patreon. Yes. And that's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Mamie, we're all done.